Hello, my name's Paul Nicholson. I run theatrenetwork.com. It's based on a theme that I purchased and it's had modifications done. The modifications have been done by several developers over the years, and unfortunately some of the code is very messy. So I expect anybody taking on this job to be an advanced WordPress developer with PHP knowledge, CSS knowledge, JS knowledge, Ajax knowledge, and everything else that's required to get this e-commerce forum software right up there to its optimum level of loading speed, aesthetics, and functionality. I'll reload the site so you can see how quickly it loads. At the moment I held down the shift button while I pressed the refresh button on Firefox. Now this software is responsive design and it works on an iPad, iPhone, all tablets and phones, and of course on computers. Now the first thing that happens on this site is that a cookie should, if it's working correctly, ask you where you are, to share your location, to geolocate you up here. So what would happen is, if you have not dealt with this box before, it'll keep coming back and asking you. But if you have done it, then a cookie will remember that you've dealt with it, or if you've moved the map. So underneath all of this is a map, and by default it's set to Hawaii with a zoom level of 1. On the map in Google I think it's out of 13. That would be 0, and then it goes all the way up to 13, and you'll see that it'll go straight over Hawaii or Honolulu or something similar to that if the geo-coordinates were correct. Looks like it's in the ocean. Anyway, it's somewhere along the equator, which makes the map centered when you first load it. And I don't think that's possible, that there's nothing to see at that zoom level, but yeah, I guess, yeah, it's quite zoomed out. Alright, so it's not over Hawaii, but it's over the equator somewhere nearby. Anyway, you can see the world at a glance at that level here. So I'll take you through what is on this page. Now this is a one-page interface, an OPI website, which means that the user never leaves the home screen. The home screen is the only page on this site. I'll say that again. The home page is the only page on this website. This is a great interface, and it's taken 5 years so far to develop. It already has many users on the live site, and it's linked into Facebook when somebody posts something using an add link to Facebook plugin. This is the header. From top left is the filter bar button. The filter bar button is currently useless at the moment because the filter bar at this width is set to stay there. But as you'll see, if I drag Firefox narrower, the filter bar has now disappeared, because it's less than the crucial width that's required to keep it open. The index is the next thing across, but first I'll tell you a bit more about the filter bar. The filter bar filters out results so that the user sees less results and is able to pinpoint exactly what he's looking for. At the moment, the filter bar is unfinished. What will happen is you will install a keyword search at the very top, followed by a mini map, which is exactly the same as this map here, and I'll explain the parameters and specifications for each of these things later on. Then there'll be a date range filter and a price range filter, followed by these category filters, which also have inside these category filter drawers subcategory filters. So if we're looking at New Zealand down here, in fact I'll take you there now so you can have a closer look. I just type in new space Z and the top response is automatically selected when I press the return key. We're now looking at New Zealand. So if I were to turn off, I know these are theatre companies which are in the directory category drawer. So if I switch off theatre companies right now, the theatre companies should now hide in New Zealand. This is a bug that it didn't work. Sometimes if I click out here, it changes something, and if I click on there again, it'll change something else. Now, on the fourth attempt, clicking around that general area resulted in it working, even though you can see the checkbox is actually selected. That needs to be repaired. One of the many bugs in this software right now. This is the index list here on the left. I'm sorry about the lagginess, it's because the screen is being recorded. The index list is a list of all the posts after the filter has been set, the filters. So based on the keyword search, which doesn't yet exist, based on the date range filter, which doesn't yet exist, based on the price range filter, which doesn't yet exist, based on the map area selected, map area shown, which is this area here that you can see in there, and based on the selected subcategories, these are the results that are remaining. Zooming out to the whole world will increase this list. You can tell by the scroll bar here that if I zoom in to a certain part of the world, let's just take for example the ocean right here, the map area shows no results. Okay, but if I go over to Sydney, I can see all these results. I can switch off filters. I'll show you again like what I did before. So let's say I want to turn off theatre companies. For some reason that's broken again. And just then, even though this is selected, in terms of visibility of this checkbox, they were removed both from the map and from the index list. Everything works together. The post list, the map, the indexes, etc. So the index list here obviously has featured ads at the top and non-featured or standard posts listings underneath it. Now, when these info windows are working properly, the map and the index will do different things to what they're doing now. If I click on an index listing, it'll just simply open that particular post. Or if I click on this listing here, it'll open the post. And I just clicked it, so hopefully that Glenbrook Players post will now open inside the main panel, which is showing all the posts exactly the same as they're listed here. If I go to the very top, you'll see the first post on the index list is Lemon and Lavender Lane present an umbrella fundraising event. And if I go to the top of that list, it'll show the same event at the very top there. Of course, if I go to a different area of the world, say Adelaide, then the top listing featured result there is the last continent, which is the same as this list here. As you can see by the scroll bar, there aren't that many events, or there aren't that many listings in this area. Everything's lazy loaded here, as you can see. But it is exactly the amount of results in the index list as the posts, although that doesn't seem right. That should be the bottom one on both of them. Comedy Lounge should be the bottom listing here on the left as well. There's a bug right there. That's impossible. Okay, that needs to be fixed. I don't know why that happened. If we go to the map, it should show exactly those same results as well. Obviously, if you zoom in, then you will get more of these results more clearly. Now, in some examples, there are certain addresses which, such as this one here, for example. This has more than one post at a single address. This could be because it's a building that has lots of things going on and these are all listed at the same address, or because somebody who posted it in the create and manage interface didn't write the address properly. They might have just written Adelaide and these posts all ended up at the same address exactly. So if I click on you have to click on one of these in order to show it, and that will launch the post. Obviously, if I click on one of these as well, that will cause a post to launch as well. So now I hope you can see that the map, the index list, and the posts all work together. Hope you can also see that unlike other websites, there's no pagination and the user never leaves the home page. Let me drag it narrower again now and show you what else happens. So that's currently set. Okay, one more. Alright, I'll open this post here, La Boîte Theatre Company. At the moment, the post has 2 columns. But if I drag it narrower, it no longer has space for 2 columns. In fact, what I just did then was wiped that particular listing off the map area, I think, which is why it's no longer visible. But it's hard to get this thing working smoothly while the screen is being recorded. So at the moment, the screen is too narrow for 2 columns for the post, and now it's only 1 column for the posts. And thankfully the map area in the background is still able to show this post, so it didn't disappear. If I make it narrow beyond what the map's able to show, then that map area will be cut off and that post will no longer be one of the listings. You can always go back there and move it. So this is now the narrowest it can go. This is what it would look like on a phone. The minimum would be right there, pretty much like a phone, and if I drag it all the way up like this, it's very similar to the heights and widths of a phone in those dimensions. Now here's another bug you can see here. If I open a post in here, the header does not have the background color intact. So it's causing some issues in this particular responsive design. However, it works again if I reload the current page as it stands in this particular width. And you'll also see that it's too narrow to even show the create and manage buttons and so on, which is not good. Also, you'll notice that the cookie has remembered. See, okay, so you can see the post header now works. So the bug was before, if I was narrowing the screen live, it has an error. But if I reset the page because the page of the browser is already determined, then the error seems to go away. However, there are problems with the image boxes in the posts here protruding into the wrong spots, and the header here is not sticking to the subheader when you scroll, which is something that needs to be done. This tour is going to be kind of generic because I think I've been talking for a long time and the video will be very massive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list the problems with the software that need to be fixed, and you can refer to this video to get a clear understanding of what needs to be done. Now I'll go through a few more things with you before I leave you with just a simple list of writing. Hopefully this will resolve itself. As I said, the fact that the screen is being recorded right now is causing delays. Now, from the top left we have the filter bar button, which is supposed to show and hide it, but in this case it's always permanently stuck on the left. This is the logo, which resizes itself to a different logo when the screen gets too narrow. We have the create and manage button, which allows the users to create their own posts and manage the posts that they've already made in the past. Obviously a logout button, which is a logout, register, login pop-up box, which we may or may not use with Facebook or Google Plus and things like that. It needs to be made by you. At the moment it takes you to a different screen, which is wrong. It'll be a pop-up when it's fixed. The settings box, if I were to click that, I can show the index list or hide the index list. As you can see in the background through the incorrectly colored background shadow, the index list is now hidden based on what's just happened. And also what happens is the map area, if I can just scroll through out of there, the map area has not, it's not clicked back over that area over there on the left hand side until I go to the map view mode. These are two view modes: posts, sequential post list, and map area. This has come up again because I haven't dealt with it yet. I suppose that might fix it. Okay, so now the map is filled in that blank area there, and if I go back to posts here, or if I'm in the map area and I click on a map marker, it'll go back to the posts list. And obviously there's a problem here. There's an overhang issue with the post header. Also, you'll find on iPads that this header here and this image box are struggling to keep up and stay smooth on an iPad or a phone, and they're flicking all over the place because the previous coder decided that it would be better to try and make it stick to the post than to the subheader where it should be programmed. That the logic of it would be to do that, I think, and that's what needs to happen when you fix it. So for example, if I were to open this post here now by clicking it, you can see that it's concealed some of the writing, and also you'll see that if I flick up quickly or flick down quickly, well, I can't really do that at the moment, but issues arise. As you can see, the image has just dropped down because of the speed of the scroll and its inability, using the logic that was designed by the previous coder, to catch up with what was happening. And now there are errors on that. So there can't be any errors like that. Everything needs to be made solidly. And I'll now show you the first task is simply a very easy one, and it shouldn't take you more than 2 hours. And that is to completely repair the category drawers and the subcategory selection buttons. So I'm going to explain this to you in words, and it'll be described in the job description. So what needs to happen, as you can see here, I've made some map markers, which are also subcategory icons used throughout the site. Sometimes they're dots if they're small on the map, if they're standard, and sometimes they're bigger using these images inside if they're featured. But also, as you can see here, that is one of them, and that represents the what's on category, which will use a white square in a circle. Solid square in a circle will be the symbol for the what's on category in this particular case. Now you don't have to think about this, because in the back end of artscroller.com, or in this particular example, the ad categories have an uploader system incorporated into them, which allows the administrator to upload the Google Map icon URLs for these particular images. Now, in a few later on jobs, we'll repair and make this whole interface a lot better. So you can see the background color for the category, you can see the featured status looking icon, the standard status, so this is in order. It's standard, standard active, featured, and featured active, plus the background color. And that's where they are set by the administrator, and it will alter the path here in this part that is sent to the database, which is an SQL file, and the images themselves are stored inside the file system on the server. So the first job is to replace this on-off button here with the image that is set for featured for the what's on category on the left, but you wouldn't hard code that. You would just say whatever this category is, find its featured marker and put it to the left. So what would happen if you turned off this category? It would hide the subcategories inside it. It would make, instead of this on-off button, it wouldn't be there anymore. Instead, what would happen is on the left of the what's on, there would be nothing at the moment, but if you clicked it anywhere along that entire drawer, the drawer will open and the icon will appear beside it. And inside all of these, the checkboxes will no longer be used, but rather clicking anywhere along here will make that either appear or disappear. But that is not the one we'll be using. The one we'll be using is the featured icon, just like the posts use. Because obviously the information you're getting from here as a legend is useless, because you cannot see that the square and the circle, for example, for the what's on category are represented with the colors and so on. So that would be your first job, and to make all of these things work 100% effectively. Now, to make them work effectively, if I were to click uncheck all, it should hide all the what's ons, okay? If I were to click check all, it should show them. Now this is the last continent, that's a purple one, so I know, just based on this incorrect use of the standard icon for the subcategory, that if I turn off plays, it should hide. Now I just clicked it and it did hide, but the checkbox didn't change, but that's part of your job to fix all that. Clicking beside it, clicking on the word plays, etc. There's a whole bunch of things here, but it doesn't always effectively work. So at the moment, I've toggled that around a few times, and even though that's turned off, now these are showing. And these have a gap in them because there are errors going on. So that all needs to be fixed up. And I don't even know why these posts aren't loading at the moment. It could be a problem with the amount of memory left on my computer at the moment. Okay, so fixing these would be the first thing. And now it's starting to say WHA in the on-off box, so I know what the last quota was smoking. In this area here, which would be sitting above the index list normally, I'll just turn that back on, which brings up this geolocate option again, which is wrong, that shouldn't appear. Above this list here is going to be an extension of this blue subheader all the way across to the edge. That filter bar sits alone by itself, and I'll just shrink the screen so we're no longer talking about the filter bar. Obviously it's still wide enough to cater for the filter bar, so I'll drag it shorter again. Now the filter bar has gone away and everything moves back into position. So these posts are the same as these posts. Let's just check there's no error with that anymore. Something's happened with this scroll bar here, it doesn't even exist. In fact, there's a horizontal scroll bar which is completely wrong. That should never happen. Clearly it's happened because I've turned the index off and on, and the filter bar has been hidden and shown again. So maybe it's just sitting on a little brink there, because that should never ever happen. Everything should recalibrate itself automatically. It must be a bug with the index showing and hiding. I'm going to have to restart this with the shift key, so this no longer exists. That's something that needs to be repaired. That'll be your job. Any bugs you find need to be fixed. Now obviously you're going to want me to write down those things in the job description, but if you do see things that were broken and you fix them, make sure you list everything you tell me so I can give you a bonus. But if you are so busy fixing tangent issues that you miss deadlines, then you won't only not get a bonus, I'll have to find somebody else to replace you. Some coders think that they're doing me a favor by spending 3 times as long as the job is supposed to take fixing tangent issues when I wanted them to fix the issues in the job description. Now, if by fixing the job description tasks you've caused the website to slow down or broken other buttons and functionalities within the website, then clearly that's not acceptable and you have to fix those problems. But then you're starting to go into overtime. So if the deadline is Friday, then I expect you to give me the finished result by Thursday so I can check your work. And if there are bugs, you can fix it by Friday. Now, if I don't see certain bugs, that means that I haven't seen them yet. I will eventually see them, so don't trick me into thinking, oh, there are no bugs, and then I find them afterwards. You need to do quality control checking on all your work and have common sense about your decisions that you make as a coder. So the interface is clear. It's simple. There is simply an index on the left and the posts on the right, all on the home page. There's no other page that needs to exist. Even when we go to create and manage, this interface is going to be incorporated into these parts of the screen by allowing the user to insert a post in the index and allowing the forms to be live edited. I'll say that again. The forms will be live edited within the post itself. And this is both used when creating a new post and also when editing an old post. And I'll show you an image now of what needs to happen for one of the first tasks in job 1. And that is this interface here, this post aesthetic is very ugly and it needs to be updated. So we'll look at it here. As you can see, we've got the post icon here, the subcategory icon or the map marker or whatever you want to call it on the left. You've got the title, the background color of the subcategory, and this has been favorited, and these stars are much nicer than the last ones on the previous screen. It's a closed post. It's laid out better. The height of it is, well, the image box is 300 by 300 pixels, so I would assume that this is about 400, maybe 450 pixels high, because the Facebook is integrated into the base of that. We need to improve the speed of Facebook loading as well inside each post, because at the moment it's taking a very long time. Now, when we look at the information that's been provided in this sealed up part, we're looking at specs. Now the specs are going to have field icons here. The field icons will appear inside the fields. They can be inserted into the boxes that are provided inside each of these custom fields that are both created and not created. So on here, we'll need to be able to click into this box here, and that would automatically allow us to browse media and so on. Hopefully my previous developer who quit unexpectedly and took that code with him will give that back to me, and you won't have to do that part of the job. But in case he doesn't, you need to be able to upload media or choose from the WordPress gallery to select field icons so that they are able to be used to replace the field names in here. So instead of company, it'll be a little image that represents company, or instead of tickets, it'll be a ticket range, because you'll have taken the most cheapest ticket to the most expensive ticket and made a range and just got a picture of a ticket. So the same with address. Clearly an address icon would look something more like that. A calendar might look something more like that in terms of the start to the end date, and the tickets will look more like that. Now upon opening, and this is the information for the avatar of the user who posted the ad and their contact information, phone. See, in this way, I think everybody recognizes what a phone number looks like, an email address looks like, and a website looks like, so those particular pieces of information will not have, they will still be assigned their custom fields in here for each of them. And I'll just take you back to the page where it shows you all the fields. Oh, by the way, in this column here, there needs to show you what the fields are as well. So you can see that the address is a field there, and then that would show up as this in those things. So this would be the venue name, the address, and the distances. Now, because this particular post has several addresses, it has several dates, it has several ticket prices, it has several venues, it has a bunch of these things, which need to be opened up and expanded upon opening the post. Now, if I scroll down through this mock-up, you'll see another one which looks exactly the same. Scroll through some of the posts. And now this has been opened. And the open post shows you the same information, but obviously with a white background, as with any post that's got a mouse hovering over it or that's been opened. And now it shows the information that's been expanded, which is a mini map showing you all the 3 locations, and you can choose the location. And when you open that drop down there, you'll see the one you want to choose, or you can click on there, it will do the same thing. So there's a drop down interface, and there's also a graphical interface. Same with the calendar, which needs to be inserted in a later job. The calendar has a drop-down interface of every session. Say, for example, January 3rd, 2014, starting time 8 p.m. That will be the first thing on this list, or something similar to that. And then we'll go through every single one on the list. Or this is the graphical interface where you can click it and choose it that way as well. Although times, there could be several times inside a single date, so you would have to select which starting time you want from the drop-down interface there. Now, if we go down a bit further, when you're selecting your ticket as a user, not as the person posting, or also as a person posting, I suppose, because this interface will incorporate those things. This will have this interface and this interface as well. So all of these things are also clickable to make them full screen or larger, a big pop-up for each of these things, which will allow you to select things with more accuracy. And at the end of all that, you've selected what you needed to select. You wanted something on Saturday the 5th of February 2014, and didn't say the starting time on this mock-up, which is weird. You've selected this ticket, and this ticket, and that's the total you need to pay. But there is a coupon code that the member who created this post inserted into the post, and now they have said that you can get a 5% discount if you do this little funny answer this question, and now that 5% is applied to the $210 you owe, and your total is now this much. So you click buy now, you're taken to a PayPal pop-up or something similar, and you can simply get on with it. And down underneath all that, you've got the rest of the information that has not yet been seen because you were too busy with that interface above. This is the description, and that is more of the specs. And as you can see, the field icons are not actually field icons in these places, because these are field responses. So what we're looking at here are field responses to field questions. So they could have been based on drop-down boxes or text boxes or any other kind of thing. So, for example, the description is obviously a field response because it's inside the form, and forms are made of fields. And obviously, WordPress already passes YouTube videos automatically. We need to make sure that it passes everything. So if somebody types www. website address, WordPress, which usually has problems with that, will not have problems with that on my websites. So that's a mock-up of what the sites will look like. So there are a bunch of different things that need to be altered on the site, and I will list them, but now you have this video, hopefully it wasn't too choppy, to indicate to you what the interface will look like when you're playing with it. And I've used the mouse. Hopefully the mouse has been visible throughout this, so you can see exactly what's happening. Don't forget that post header should look, refreshing the page, like this. Now, sorry, one more thing. This little subheader here, it doesn't have an